Hi, I'm Carly,
And I'm Michelle.
and we are your Northwest Arkansas Regional Mentoring Specialist. Welcome to Inspiration After the Bell, the podcast where we
Share stories
strategies
and sparks of inspiration to help educators like you make a difference in the classroom every day. Whether you're a first-year teacher or a seasoned educator, we hope you get a dose of inspiration to carry with you after the bell and beyond.
Today, we welcome Jeremy Schlinker, our Savvy Technology Coordinator.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation.
All right. So, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became the technology coordinator at the co-op.
Okay, so I was just thinking about this a while ago. Do you remember I'm going to say around 7th, 8th, 9th grade, somewhere in there, your teacher would say, okay, you basically need to figure out what you think you're going to do with your life, right?
Yes.
What's funny is what I'm doing now was what I said then, but I took a long journey to get there.
So you said you wanted to be a technology coordinator?
No, I said I wanted to be an IT person.
Oh, okay.
Well, technically, I said I wanted to be a computer technician,
That's impressive.
but that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But this is my 13th year in educational IT. I was at Prairie Grove Schools for 1 year, Farmington for 7 years, worked with both of y'all at Farmington.
Mhm.
Yes, you did.
And then this is my 5th year at the co-op. And, I never really expected to leave Farmington. I loved working at Farmington schools. Actually, to be honest, I loved working at Prairie Grove Schools as well. But when the opportunity came to go to Farmington, I took that because I wasn't actually on contract at Prairie Grove, and then at Farmington I was. And then when the opportunity opened up at the co-op, I really couldn't pass it up. And I remember in the interview with Missy, she told me, she's like, you'll be rubbing elbows with a lot of big IT people from the state, Ray Girdler and Don Benton. And she named all these names off that I didn't even know. But comes find out, yes, I was working with them on almost a daily basis.
That's so neat, for sure. So what does a typical day look like for a technology coordinator?
The really cool thing about working at the co-op is that I almost never have 2 days that are exactly the same, right? So I come in most days and I am helping make sure that each room is set up and the presenters are ready to go and everything's working, sound is working, presentations are working. But then I have days where, like a couple of weeks ago, I went to Decatur for 2 full days helping their tech department with some internet issues. And unfortunately, I spend way more time on Zooms than I would like. But the Zoom meetings are good because, we learn a lot of stuff that we need to know that we convey to our tech directors. So I'm required to host 4 meetings a year for our school's tech directors here in Northwest Arkansas. We will pass information to them from the state. Like our new cyber laws we had last year. I actually had a guy call me today because AI policy, he was asking about that. And so that's stuff that we pass on to them through that new standards and make sure people are compliant with new laws and stuff like that.
You didn't mention that you're part of the cybersecurity. Are we going to talk about that in a little bit?
Yeah, so we can talk about it now. That's fine. I am on what's called CIRT, that stands for Cyber Incident Response Team. And so what it is, it's made up of all of the co-op tech coordinators from around the state. And what we are is we're a quick response team, basically, to say if something was to happen at one of our schools. I'm just going to throw out a name. Obviously, nothing's happened, but let's just say something happens at Gentry schools. Then I would probably be one of the first people on site, other than their tech coordinator, to help try to figure out what happened and how do we fix this. And then I would be in talks with Chrissy Cross, who's head of the state's cyber team that the state employs. And I'd be on the phone with her a lot saying, hey, here's what we're seeing. And more than likely, they'd be driving that way as we're talking to them. And so it really gives us a quick response, so that one of the big things with cyber is you have to get on it as fast as you can, because the longer there is an active attack, the more it's going to spread to. So the faster you can stop it from spreading, the better off you're going to be, both with information and financially. I mean, it can take down stuff that costs you a lot of money.
So silly question. When there's a cyber attack, it's better for you to be like on site instead of like
Yes.
remoting or being via Zoom?
Yeah. It's possible that you can't even remote in. If it
Okay.
takes down the internet, you wouldn't be able to remote in
Yeah.
at all.
That makes
Crazy. Okay, so one thing we love to do for our listeners is give them practical, easy tips that they can do in their classroom tomorrow. So do you have any tips, techie tips that you want to share?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I actually used this tip just yesterday. Missy was trying to play a YouTube video, and she was asking me, how do I get this YouTube video to not have ads in it? And I told her, I said, now here's the thing. Sometimes this doesn't work, but most of the time it does. I think I figured out if a channel is monetized, then it won't work. But if it's not monetized, then it'll work. And that is to take in the word YouTube in your link when you're on a YouTube video. If you go up into your URL bar and you put a dash between the T and the U of the word tube, so you put T-UBE in there and then hit enter, it will reload that video without ads.
That is my absolute favorite tech tip that you gave me when I first started working here. And I still use it when I'm doing any type of presentation. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you want to know something kind of funny about that tip? Is one of the presenters actually showed me that one day.
Really?
I didn't even know it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I adopted it and I've been using it like crazy.
Yeah. Well, me too. But I do give you credit for it.
Appreciate it. I don't remember who the national presenter was that told me that to give them credit, but
kudos to them. Okay, so I know we talked that you're on the cybersecurity team, and teachers rely so much on technology these days. What are some easy ways that they can stay safe? Because nobody wants to be that person who clicks on something and the district doesn't get paid, right?
Yeah. So I say this all the time. I know that teachers are very busy people and that they're just, run around like chickens with their head cut off some days, feels like. But one of the biggest things I tell people all the time is if you will just take a second to think before you click, it will stop you from clicking on things a lot of the time just because something in it may look a little bit fishy. I always say if it looks fishy, it's probably fishy. And so that's one thing that I always tell people, just take a second, stop and think. I know you're busy, but the difference between youth stopping and thinking and just clicking randomly can make a huge difference to your school district if you are stopping yourself from getting a virus or, a ransomware. Ransomware is worst case scenario. That is every technology person's nightmare. And so you do not want to be the person responsible for a ransomware happening at your school.
Yeah. Everybody would know your name.
Yes, they definitely would.
They would. And not in a kind way, probably.
Hey, so we talked about Teachers Pay Teachers before in one of a training that you did for us, and you showed us this cool little feature. You want to tell them about that website where they can take a download and drop it in? Yeah,
so it's called virustotal.com. And what you do is if you have purchased something from Teachers Pay Teachers, then you will take that link. So let's just say it's a PDF. You'll take that PDF. It's going to be in your downloads folder because you purchase it and you download it, but you haven't opened it yet, right? So you don't open this before you use this to be safe. And you will take that PDF and you will upload it into virustotal.com. VirusTotal will scan that PDF against several reputable antivirus vendors, and that they will say has this PDF. So every PDF, every file has what's called a hash value or SHA value, and it will search that SHA value over the entire internet and say, has this been known to be a virus or some sort of infection or ransomware or whatever?
Wow!
And so it'll throw up really fast and say yes, it's infected, or no, it's clean. So it doesn't take long at all. Literally 10 seconds, probably.
Okay, that's great advice for everybody out there listening, because, again, nobody wants to be that one person that upsets the tech people or anybody else in the building, for that matter. What are some of the most common tech mistakes you see staff make, and how can we avoid them?
So this one is kind of funny because when I say this to people, the look on their face they give me most every time is this annoyed look almost every single time. But honestly, rebooting your device before putting a tech ticket in will fix issues a lot of times, especially when it comes to printing. When it comes to printing, it'll fix it probably half the time at least, maybe more. What you don't realize, most people, is it's like your computer has a connection to your printer, and that connection has been broken. So the way to reestablish that connection is to reboot your printer or your computer, sometimes your printer as well, but your computer, and most of the time it'll reestablish that connection.
There you go. You heard it. How to stay friends with your tech guy.
Jeremy, you've shared a lot of information with us today. What is one piece of advice you'd give teachers who feel intimidated by new technology?
Yeah, so, we all know that things change all the time, and even us techie people have to learn new things. Uh, so I don't always feel like you have to have the answers to everything, or that we are looking down on you because you don't know the answer, because there is a lot of times as I've gotten older, I've learned it's okay to tell people sometimes I don't know. Let me see if I can figure that out. And so even I have to do that sometimes. You guys had an issue here a while back with Google Forms,
Yeah. Yes.
and it took me a while to figure out kind of what was going on there. And I basically had to tell y'all, I don't know. Let me go do some research on it. And so don't be, intimidated that the tech people are just going to look down on you all the time. Sometimes we don't know the answer either, and we have to figure it out.
Jeremy, thank you so much for being a guest on our show today. You've shared so much great advice.
Well, we appreciate it, Jeremy, and thank you so much for being with us today. I think we have learned a lot of great technologically savvy stuff and how not to make our tech guys mad at us.
Yes, reboot.
I was about to say reboot.
Reboot and always put in a tech ticket.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Inspiration After the Bell. We hope you're walking away with some fresh ideas, renewed energy, and a little extra inspiration to bring to your class tomorrow.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find links and resources from today's episode in our show notes.
Thanks for all you do every day after the bell and beyond. We'll see you next time.